Now, today we'll learn about how JavaScript interacts with the browser. So we'll cover the browser object model, how to work with different browser APIs, and then also delve into specific APIs like fetch APIs for making network request and local storage and session storage for storing data in the browser as well. Now, the browser object model provides interactions with the browser window, and it allows you to control the browser features like URL, history, and window dimensions as well. Some of the key components of the browser object model will be the window, which represents the browser window and it's global. It's actually a global object in the browser. And then we have the navigator, which provides information about the browser. Then we have the screen, which provides information about the user screen. And then location provides information about the current URL. And then history provides access to the browser's session history. All right, so let's quickly create a new folder here, and we're just gonna call it browser object model or BOM, something like that. And then we have two files there, index.html, and then the other one is app.js. Now let's say we want to access the current URL .log, and then window dot location. Now if we look at that, so this should give us the 127 dot 0.0, I suppose, to 0.0.1, which is our local host. If we look at that, then we can actually see that we're returning the current URL that we're accessing. All right. And then if you want to navigate to let's say you want to navigate to another URL, you can actually use this, so that will navigate to a new URL. Now if we want to get information about the browser, or rather getting browser information, we would just say console.log and navigator dot user agent. So that will actually print out the browser information. It's gonna output the information about the browser. If we look at that, then because of this window, so you can always go to another URL, Now we can actually see the information about the browser. So if you want to get like the screen dimensions as well, so we could just log that in the console. Then we can just say screen dot width, and then we can also log the height. Now if we look at that, then we can see my screen. Well, so it's actually reading this small screen here, not the bigger one. So it's 1281 by 721. So that actually will give you the, and then let's say we want to also navigate the browser history, so we can actually use these two. Now as you can see, the browser object model is like a toolbox that gives you access to the browser's control and information, so you can use it to interact with the browser window and navigate to different pages and get the details about the user's browser and screen as well. Now let's talk about working with APIs. First, what is an API? Okay, now an API stands for Application Programming Interface. It's actually a set of rules and definitions that allows different software applications to communicate with each other And then APIs just define the methods and the data formats that the applications can use to request and exchange information, enabling a seamless interaction and functional sharing within different systems. All right, so that's what a API is basically on a nutshell. Now, a browser APIs are built-in libraries provided by the browser that allow you to perform different tasks, such as making network requests, manipulating the document object model, and storing data as well. And then we have the fetch APIs. Now, the fetch API is a modern way to make a network request. It is more powerful and flexible replacement for the older XML HTTP request API. Now, the fetch API uses promises. So remember, we've already talked about promises last week, making it easier to handle asynchronous operations. Now, let's make an example here. So here I'm just gonna make uh, let's make a new file. I'm gonna call it fetch .html, and then maybe I can just have fetch API example, and then let's put our script here because I don't want to be switching between the script, and so we can just write our script here. Now let's say we've got we have this constant. Now basically we're gonna go to this URL. So this URL has like dummy, or this API has some post, okay, like dummy posts, right, that we can actually use. You can see that it's not real post, but it's just dummy post that you can use. So I'm gonna just copy the URL here, and then I want to actually place it in here. So https JSON placeholder dot tappycode.com/post. Now we will actually fetch. So we want to fetch the URL which actually has those posts, and then dot then. So remember we're using promises, then, and then response. I think response is with S, and response, and then response dot JSON. So we want to actually get the get element by ID. We want to actually get this ID. And then what we can use, we can actually use so this is a JSON data, so we can use JSON to stringify. And we just want to return like 2 posts out of all. And then if there's an error, we can actually catch the error dot catch error. Then we can just print it in the console dot error, and then we can pass the actual error there in case we couldn't get that right. So let's have a look now. Then you can actually see my posts there. Okay, I'm not really putting them nicely, but I don't know why it's zoomed in too much. So you can see that I managed to return all the data there using the fetch API. So the fetch API is like sending a letter to get information basically. All right, so you write a request, which is a letter, and then send it to the server. Let's say a server is a post office, and then get back the response. So you get back a letter with the data that you wanted. All right. Then we have a local and session storage. So both local and session storage are part of the web storage API. So providing a way to store data in the browser. So the key difference between them is the lifetime of the data. Local storage stores the data with no expiration date. Data is not deleted when the browser is closed and is available for future session. And then session storage stores for one session. So data is deleted when the tab or browser is closed. Now, for example, let's create another another HTML folder file. So that's gonna be local, or let's just call it storage API, storage, which is storage API.html. So make this a file. Now in here, what we want to do, so we're gonna have h1, and let's say this is just local storage example. And then we're gonna have a button with an ID of save btn. Excuse my typing there, btn like that. And then here we're just gonna say save. We can have another button. We say another button with the ID of, say ID. Let's just say load a btn, and then here we're just gonna say load from local storage, and then we will have a div with the ID of output. All right, so let's write our script now. So first, I'm just gonna see if we can store save btn on a variable. This document, we'll say btn, and then we will have const load btn, then we have const output, and then what we want to do, then we're actually going to add an event listener. So we're going to take the save btn dot add event listener, then we're going to listen for a click. Okay, I'm missing a comma here. That's why it's not really showing me. So it's localhost storage set item, and then we're gonna have a key, because you can store as a key value pair. So we can have a key which is name, and then the value can be maybe John Smith. And then we can do the same thing with load btn. So add event listener, and then we add click local storage dot get item. So set item is to save the item in the local storage, and then get item is to retrieve from the local storage. And then we can have the output, or maybe data found. Actually, we can, I don't know why am I doing this one. We can actually type in here, say no data found, no data found. Oh no, we're right. We can just say no data found, because we actually using the ternary operator, so we can actually do that. Now, if we preview this, so first we've got two buttons here. One is to save the data. So I'm gonna go ahead and open the local storage. So on your developer, you can go to network, or actually application, and then you'll see here that you've got a local storage. So far I've got some stuff here, so I'm gonna delete. I think it's the previous things that I've done, and then you can see the data can be stored on a key value pair. All right, so we've got a key called name, and then we've got a value called John Smith. So if I click here, save load, save local storage, and then if I just click OK, then we can see that we've got a key called a name, and then John Smith. All right, I can also retrieve from the local storage and I can just click load from local storage, and then I can get that key. So that key actually it's from, or I'm retrieving it from the local storage. Even if I do that, it's still gonna, even if we refresh or we close, if we come back and open it again, suppose you close the browser, so whatever that you stored in the local storage will still be there. Okay, I can still load the key from the local storage. So for a session storage, you just replace local storage with session. Okay, you just replace it with the local storage. So local storage is like a long-term memory notebook where you write things down and then they stay even after you close the browser, right? And then session storage is like a sticky note that you throw away when you close the tab or a browser. Now, in summary, a browser object model provides method and properties to just interact with the browser requests and manipulating the DOM. And then fetch API is just a modern way to make the network request using promises, making it easier to handle asynchronous operations. And then local storage and session storage, those are just web storage APIs that allow you to store data in the browser with a local storage being persistent across sessions and then session storage being temporary. So just by understanding these concepts, you can create a more dynamic and interactive web applications that leverages the full power of the browser. So you can practice this concept with some hands-on exercises. And then if you've got any questions or you need further clarifications, just feel free to ask as well.